All right, my friends, so we're moving on to page 272. So please turn to your pages, your books to 272. And at the top, we're looking at Build for Understanding. All right, so let's look at the problem. It says the owner of a yogurt shop brings 1 gallon buckets of yogurt to the Climathon. At the end of the day, 1 bucket is 2/5 full, and a second bucket is 3/4 full. Which bucket is less than half full? Okay. So let's read that again. So we know we're talking about these gallons of yogurt buckets this owner brings to the Climathon. So let's read it again now. The owner of the yogurt shop brings 1 gallon buckets of yogurt to the Climathon. And at the end of the day, 1 bucket is 2/5 full, and a second bucket is 3/4 full. Which bucket is less than half full? All right. So now we know we have our amounts, our quantities. So let's take a peek here on our board again. Now remember, everything is being compared to the same whole. And in this case, the whole is the gallon. So remember our whole. And so we're going to use the benchmark fraction, half. So I'm going to move that half out so that we know we're talking about this benchmark right here. All right? And we want to know which bucket is less than half full. So let's look at the first amount. So we know that one of the buckets is 2/5 full. So remember, this is the whole. There are 5/5, but we only need 2. So I'm going to take out these 3. And we're going to represent these 2/5 with the fraction 2/5. Okay, 2 being the parts out of the whole of 5. So 2/5. Okay. And we know the other bucket, that second bucket, is 3/4 full. Well, here's your whole, 4 fourths, and then I'm going to take 1 away and represent it with the fraction 3/4. Now we can already see, using these visuals, which one is less than half. What I want you to see here, though, is how do the numerator and the denominator in half compare? Well, if you look at the numerator is half as much as the denominator. So when you're talking about comparing, this top number would be half as much as the denominator. Well, 2 is not half of 5. 2 is actually less than half of 5. And if you look here, you're going to notice that it's less than half. In this case, the 4, you can divide that 4 evenly by in half. And so your half would be 2/4. If you notice right here, it's the same as half. So 2/4 is actually equal to a half. So when you're looking at this numerator, it is greater than the denominator. And so in this case, it is, this 3/4, if you think about the 2 being the halfway part, the 3 is higher than half. And so now you can see as a visual that 3/4 is greater than half. Okay. So your question is, which bucket is less than half full? Well, let's take a peek. If we were to draw or write, our equation, 2/5 and 3/4, you would say 2/5 is less than 3/4. So 2/5 is less than 3/4. Okay, you're doing a comparison. The 2/5 is smaller than half, and that's the question. The question is, which bucket is less than half full? All right, my friends. Let's stop here, and I'm going to continue in another video.